Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name's StepsBasic and welcome back to my community show. Jeez. So, today I actually have something kind of personal to talk about. It's not really like super personal or anything, it's just something that happens to be affecting me right now. And, I see it in a lot of my creative friends, a lot of my artist friends, and it's such a drag. What is called as the creativity block, or writer's block, or artist block, or whatever you want to call it. It's a block, and it sucks. I mean, there's no real surefire way to get over them either. But anyway, let me go into what is said creativity block. Well, it's essentially exactly what it says. It's a block in your creativity, and it's probably the worst thing that can ever happen to a creative person. It's like when the artist puts up his canvas, puts up his easel, takes all his paints and pens and markers and everything else he uses to write and color with, and he splashes the paint on his little the palette. There we go. On his little palette, and he goes to paint, and he doesn't know what to paint. And no matter how long he sits there and he stares at that canvas, he just can't figure it out. Same thing happens to me with my writing far too often. I'll sit there, I'll just open up Word, and I'll look at it, and I'll be like, and I'll just stare at the blank page for like 15-20 minutes before I close it out, and I'm like, I can't write. I'm a terrible writer. And you know what happens to every creative person at one point or another. The more you do it, the more often you're going to see it. The trick of it is you got to find ways that are personal to get you through it, and it's different for everybody. I've tried other people's tips and tricks on how to get past things. Some of them kind of work, some of them don't. Well, a lot of them don't. And I'm not here to tell you what you need to do to get over creativity block, because honestly, I can't tell you. When it comes to me, though, generally, I'll just start writing. I won't write anything important. I won't write anything part of the story. I'll just start writing. So today I'm writing a book. I can't figure out what to write. I want to write this thing right here, but then it just isn't coming out. I can't think of how I want to make this person do this, and I just keep writing. And that's literally how it goes. And I'll just keep writing, and I've literally done that before. Basically, Bart Simpson on the chalkboard saying, I just want to keep writing. I just want to keep writing. I just want to keep writing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times I end up writing that like 500 times on a blank Word document, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, that was wonderful. And truth be told, it's been happening a little bit lately with, like this show right here. I can't think of a particularly good topic that doesn't require a lot of in-depth research. And I literally have a list of topics in my phone that I can talk about on the community shows, and I'm going to get to them all. One of them is like an OBS tutorial, but I want to get better at OBS before I use that. And right now I know like 2 or 3 tips and tricks to do on OBS, and that's it. And I want to learn more before I try to teach other people, because that's how you want to do it. And there's other topics, and sometimes I want to do a hot take on certain situations in gaming culture, but all I can do is just go but I'm not much for hot takes. I don't like hot takes. For those of you who don't know, a hot take is like a blogger, a journalist's immediate reaction to a situation. I.e., something happens, they jump on the camera and they just start ranting for 10 to 15 minutes. And I don't do hot takes. I don't like them. I like to sit. I want to get over the initial emotional reaction and move past it. And that actually is kind of something that helps me with my creativity blocks, because if I try to go emotional at it, I'm just going to get shut down. And sometimes I need to move along with it. I need to stop for a moment. I need to think. I I need to outline. I need to paragraph. I need to, brainstorm. I love brainstorming. Even if I'm not brainstorming about anything in particular. What do I want to do when I go to the store? Well, let's see. First, I want to get a cart. I want to move into this place. I want to go check out the milk. I want to go over to the meats and the dairies. And dairies, breads, bakery. The meat and the bakery. Anyway, that's not important. And like I said, it affects everybody. And I had a friend of mine kind of basically screaming the other day, I'm not creative, because she was having a bit of a writer or creativity block, and I felt bad for her, and because I knew better. I've seen her art. Her art is really good. Between pictures and people faces and whatnot, I'm like, you're really good. But creativity block, it really makes you feel like that sometimes. I've written 3 stories. I haven't had any published before you say anything. I know. I've written three books, but even today when I hit a block in my creative process, I just feel like I'm not a writer. I feel like I'm not good. Granted, it'd be a lot easier for me to dismiss that if I could get myself published, because then I'd be like, you think I'm not good? Look at this. I got a book on the shelf. And they'd be like, and then my brain would be like, well, that was a fluke, and flukes happen. And I'll be like, shut up, brain. Stop telling me bad things. And my brain will be like, hey, bad things. Hate you, brain. But I love you at the same time, because without you, I wouldn't have any of my creativity. So anyway, tips and tricks for getting over writer's block. Like me, I like brainstorming. I like random writing, just free writing, I call it. Somebody else calls it that too. That's where I got the name from, but I don't remember who said it. And one other thing I kind of like doing, when you get into a big project, occasionally you'll get overwhelmed by said big project. Like my first book that I wrote took me a year to write. Second book was a month. And the third book was about 3 months. But these projects can become overwhelming. Like my series is an 8-book series. And it is a huge project. It's a large undertaking, and I've only got 3 of the 8 books written. I've got 5 of them planned and 3 of them written. One of them's half done, so technically I have 3.5. Well, we're not going to go into that either. But when you look at these projects and you look at what you have left, it just gets overwhelming, and that's one thing that can cause creative blocks. Sometimes it's good to take a step back. Don't write the story, but take like the characters in the story. This was actually a tip given to me by another author. Take a character from the story and put her in a completely random situation. One of my characters in one of my stories was attending a birthday party during the zombie outbreak, and she had to fight through the zombies, and it was great. I'm like, I love zombies. Zombies are great. I don't love zombies because that's gross, but I love the whole idea of the zombie apocalypse. It's like, but anyway, it's just a random situation you find your character in. How's she gonna manage? Is she gonna make it through? Of course she is, because she's awesome. But just take your character and take a step back and write something completely unrelated to the story, with the exception of obviously the character. But just write something completely far-fetched, out of this world, has absolutely nothing to do with the actual story, other than you've got that character from the story in it. And I love it because it makes your mind start working in different ways. Like my story is about essentially superheroes who have to save the world. Okay, not too far-fetched of an idea to say put them in a zombie apocalypse where they have to survive against zombies. But at the same time, like my story is more like reality-based than a zombie apocalypse could ever be. And it's fun because it's like, yeah, we're looking at these characters who are usually so by the book, so normal-ish humans, and now all of a sudden they have to fight against this mythical creature, and it's pretty neat. And yeah, I like it. That's when you look at big projects, you sometimes need to take. Sometimes you need to take a break, and you need to take a deep breath and find your inner woosah. So, what causes creative blocks? Now, that's an interesting topic because I don't think there's anything specific that actually causes a creativity block. At least not for me. Sometimes it's like I'll be going really well one day. I'll have written something like 5-10 pages in a day, and I'm like, I am the master of this skill. Nobody's better than me, except of course for Stephen King, who's awesome and amazing, and Neil Gaiman, he's pretty all right too, and Terry Pratchett, he was, God rest his soul, so awesome. I'm sitting there like I'm doing so well. 10 pages, man, that's awesome. That's somewhere upwards of, that's only like 3,000, 4,000 words. Anyway, we're not going to do that. And then other days, it's like the next day, I still have the ideas going, and it's still like I know exactly where I want this story to go, and I'll sit down and I'll be like, what? So I mean, that's just a random occurrence. It just pops up, and it's like, the best I can do is muscle through it. And some days I'll turn out like a paragraph. Some days I'll be lucky to get a sentence in. Maybe I'll luck out and get a whole page. And then other days it's like, I just can't write anything. And it's a defeating feeling. But I mean, I don't know if there's any real cause to it. I mean, I know there's pressure. I am actually really terrible at deadlines. If I have a deadline coming up, I feel pressured, I feel rushed, I can't ever actually feel like getting into it. That's why generally if I set a deadline for myself, it's usually like a year. I have to finish this in a year, and I can do that. I take part in NaNoWriMo all the time, and the same thing always happens. You have a month to write 50,000 words. Can you do it? I've done it once. I have succeeded once, I should say. I have taken part in it every year for the past, 5 years, but I've only ever succeeded once because it's a whole month to write 50,000 words, and I just can't do it because of the freaking deadline, man. And I know that's something I need to get over, especially if I want to be a particularly successful writer, and I can do that sometimes. I mean, if I were to start now and just write 50,000 books, it'd be perfect, because then I'd be like, oh, you want another book? Here you go. Boop. And then just spend the rest of my days writing for leisure and writing for fun, which is great, and I love it. I know pressure can be a cause. External stress can be an issue too. I know, I suffer from the whole bipolar issue with my brain going wonky and whatnot, and sometimes I'll have days when I just can't. Not even anything specific. I just can't. And that could really give me a good creative block. And I'll sit down at the computer. I'm like, I know I'm having a bad day, but I have to. And it leads me to the third point I might add is not so much the pressure, not so much the stressors, but the feel that you have to. I mean, technically, yes, that is a pressure on yourself, from yourself. I have to do this. But at the same time, it's I have to, but why? And I keep telling myself that one day I'm going to have my name out there, and while the popularity is not so much important to me, the fact that I give entertainment to other people is, and I use that as a kind of a motivator. Like, one day everyone's going to want to read this, and they're going to be so happy when you put it out. I'm like, I can do it. It's awesome. But anyway, creativity block is a pain in the butt. There's no surefire way to get past it other than personal things. Sometimes that's how I do it. I just muscle through it. I'll eventually break through the block, as it were. No real actual causes of it other than stress, pressures, and whatnots. At least those are for me. I can't say for other people. But at the same time, it's a very real thing. It's very annoying. It's very frustrating, and we all have to work our way through it eventually. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to, you can comment down below. Maybe you've got some tips and tricks for working through blocks. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to discuss them, and I would certainly be happy to hear some of your stories. But yeah, apart from that, tune in next time when hopefully I'll have written up something I need to talk about because I want to. I've been putting it off forever and ever and ever, and I should probably get to it. And until then,